not his kind of position, right? Those tactics, those tricks, that chaos, it doesn't exist. It's sort of a strategic fight where black's on the defense. And that's a bit of an Alireza nightmare.
Let me ask you a question, and maybe the answer to this is it's not possible. Is there anything that can be done conceptually? Like if you had 3 or 4 free moves and you got to play around with where the pieces are, what can turn this into a position that he would love?
For Alireza, first he needs active pieces. I'm looking at a few of them here. The Black Knight has nowhere to jump forward to. I think he would love this position if the final set of rooks also disappeared. And just because for now, White Rook is perfect as a defender, but also controlling the only open file. If Alireza can jump forward with his knight somewhere, trade off a set of rooks, long-term Black should be happy. The White Bishop is actually a very bad piece in these types of endgames, stuck behind its own pawns. So again, not necessarily his type of position to go for endgames, but this is a good start. The Black Knight reroutes itself. Given 2 more moves, it might jump forward to c6, then b4 with a fork. Looks like a good start for Alireza.
That is some nice maneuvering there. You know, you just reroute the position of your pieces to better square, to greener pastures. That knight, where it came from, had absolutely no jumping spots in the position. You mentioned b4. There's also the idea of knight c6, a5, c4. So 2 very nice spots for the knight to eventually land on. And what Alireza is saying is, I don't care about what's happening on the other flank. If you play f5, you know, the opening up will benefit me. I've got my rook and bishop defending, the queen sliding over. And there we see he continues with the maneuvering game.
Yeah, Hikaru's move given an exclamation mark, not because it gives him any advantage, just it prevents a big threat. The Black Knight was jumping forward to b4. Here, Hikaru wants to prevent your other plan there, Tanya, of the Black Knight jumping by bringing his knight to d2. First, some pawn pushes look very innocuous there, but actually quite committal long term now. The Black King slightly less safe due to that pawn push, but the White King maybe easier to break through to it.
I want to point out one spot which, you know, is easy to miss out. That H-pawn, which has been a strength, is something that can come under fire.
Yeah.
With all of Hikaru's forces on the left side of the board. And look at that. I think Alireza's heading towards the move. Queen E8, Queen H5. Start putting pressure on that pawn, because guess what? Hikaru's placed too many pieces on the other flank.
I was wondering about that as well, because as soon as I saw that, I went, H5 looks weak. So does e6. Is White gonna play Queen g6 is what I was wondering, and it feels like both players saw the light square weaknesses maybe at the same time, and you obviously can't push the f-pawn or take because you've got queen takes e6 with check. So we're now consolidating on the light squares for both the white and the black pieces.
Yeah, that was a hole presented to the White Queen. She jumped in, attacking some pawns. Now you've got to be a bit careful with Hikaru Nakamura. The White Queen doesn't have too many escape squares, especially if Black gets the time to push the pawn to f5. There's no way back after that. The Black Knight is within a couple of moves of kicking that White Queen out. So this looks like a very nice maneuver from Alireza Firoujza. The problem for Hikaru is no teamwork here, no coordination. White's Queen is flying solo. And for now, it does feel like Hikaru maybe losing the thread slightly. Maybe a bit overextended here with the white pieces.
And it's really fascinating how Alireza sort of played in his own camp, you know, the queen coming back, queen placing to d7, but all of it comes with this big idea. f5 is actually a huge threat to trap that white queen. And guess what? If you came back from where you came, yes, Alireza will have the option to perhaps repeat, but he could anyway go f5, you know, take away that outpost from the white queen and then target the h5 pawn. He's down on the clock, but he's slowly getting up on the position, and I think Alireza realizes that.
Yeah, time difference at some point was almost 4 minutes. Now it's down to around the 2-minute mark. Hikaru has slowed down, realizing it's not so easy. Retreating the white queen, probably a necessity, there we go, in the next couple of moves at least, and feels like a loss of time. The black queen now can slide across back to the e8 square that it wanted to use in the first place and go for that lonely white h-pawn.
I've got a question to both of you on this position now. Oh, well, hang on a second, the queen's potentially being swapped off. Do we want to resolve the tension for white or for black with the pawns on f6 and e5? Do we actually want to take that off?
Possibly, but maybe you want to wait so your opponent does it on your terms. In the meantime, fascinating moment. A repetition is in the air.
Oh, wow. Okay. We are going to Armageddon, ladies and gentlemen. This was an entertaining, a very interesting fight, a very cerebral fight between these Team Falcons teammates, but it is a second draw in a row, and that means we are going to see Armageddon, I think, for the first time on this stream today. So both players will be bidding for time. The player with the lower number, we will get as the black pieces, and at the end of that, if the black pieces draw, that counts as a victory.